welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Knitter Vidcast. My name's Allison, and I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on Sunday, April 20th. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. It has been 2 months since my last podcast, and I have so much to talk about in a show, so this one might be a long one. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but you know how it goes. So, it's beautiful here. It's spring. It's sunny. It's gonna be like in the low 70s. Feels like spring is here, and hopefully that's the case for those in the U.S. Or I guess we're going into winter on the other side of the world. But I have a lot of FOs, acquisitions, talking about my travels I've been doing lately, all that jazz. So let's get into it. I have to go with my list because literally I've had like 3 trips since last we talked, and I've had 2 of them were knitting related, so they've had a lot of knitting. And yeah, so I'm gonna go the order I think I did them in. Socks. I've knit 3 pairs of socks, and I am so excited. I'm on a kick at the beginning of this year, for whatever reason, to use up scraps. So I call these my scrappy socks, and I'm doing different things, just trying to use those smaller balls of sock yarn that I have. It takes me about 220 yards to do a sock, and so I tend, probably like a lot of us, to have like half a ball left, especially because I don't go extremely tall up my leg, and I do shorties and I do everything. So I have a lot of random sock skeins that are still in my stash because anything over 20 grams counts in my stash. I have a lot of stuff under 20 grams that's all over, but doesn't count in my Ravelry stash. So I had done 2 pairs of socks last one, and I've done 3, and this is the first one. So I'm calling these my striped socks number 3 for 2025. And this one I decided, as you can see, to do chunky stripes. So I think each of these is like 14 stitches. And I've been using my Ducati heel, which is a double wedge heel. Not mine. It's the person I found it originally is Ducati. She was the designer that I saw it in her pattern. I don't even know if it's her heel, but it's what I call it. And I've, kind of figured out what works for me and this foot. So the scraps, and the other great thing is I have so many minis from my advent calendars that I'm able to take yarn that I have and then pair it with minis and come up with these great things. So I know this one is Ritual Dye Maiden that I got a few years ago. This one is Queen City So Much Drama, the stripe. This one was a mini. This orange, and then this one were 2 minis. And then this is Knitting in Color and Cinder and Smoke that I've had since 2017. So a while for me. And then, yeah. And then I figured out how big I wanted my wedge based on where I wanted my heel split. So I know my de facto for myself now is 60 rows here. Then I start this gusset, and then it's like 14 rows for that. So that's why my stripes were 14 rows. And then I did, yeah. So then I did the heel in the mini, so, or in whatever stripe I was in, is how I did it. So then it released that way. Anyways, it's so happy. It's so happy. It's so me. If you haven't met me, I love orange. Hence why I have so much orange in my stash. And then I really like these neutrals here too. So yeah, isn't that great? Ended up using almost all of the stash. I think I used this in somewhere else, but almost used them all up. And so another pair of socks in my sock bin that, as I was saying, I have too many socks. I need to have some of my old ones blow holes because I would love to add these to mine, but I already have enough socks. So I don't know. It's going into I have kind of a finished sock bag, and I pull socks with my mom. Her feet fit mine. And then I just have them in there. So that's what I did. It's actually this this last time I'll talk about it, but I went to a knitting retreat, and one of the things they have is a de-stash table. And I actually brought, I think, 5 pairs of socks. These were socks that were just a little too small for me, meaning they'd be too small for my mom, who's the other person I knit for. And so, but they were all brand new socks. And so I just brought them, and they all found homes. I don't even know. The way it works in there is you kind of just put them on a table, and people go in, try stuff, and take it. And it's one of the things we've commented, but you don't know whose it is because nobody kind of marks whose it is. They just kind of put it in there. So I'm not sure who my socks went to, but hopefully they went to homes that are going to enjoy them. And I just love knitting socks. I love having socks in my purse. I love it being my travel knitting. Yeah. But one of the other knitting trips I did was the Virginia Beach knitting retreat in February, where I traveled to Virginia Beach where it snowed, which was, you know, fun. But there I brought all hats because I knew I didn't want anything big. I was traveling, and so all I had were socks and hats with me. So I did a few. So I'm going to show you most of the hats I did. This was one I was working on. This is the Graham hat. I've knit this before. This is by Jennifer Adams. It's very easy, kind of broken rib kind of thing. And I did this in Handmaiden silk. So it's a 50% Bombyx and 50% Tessa silk. And this is about 150 yards. And the skein was one I picked up in a de-stash room a few years ago. And I decided I wanted kind of a neutral, slouchy, soft hat. So this one's actually going to go for me. And super easy. The only mod I had to do is I had to mod for worsted because the silk I used was worsted weight, but super easy to adjust the numbers. And because it's just this kind of stretchy, I think it will work. I did have to obviously go a little tighter because the silk isn't going to have any stretch back, but I'm happy with it. So it is just this great neutral hat, and it's silk, and so it will be light but warm and all that jazz. So this is when I finish in February. I think about, I don't know, a week. I'm going to have great hat hair today. Another one I did was the big chunky comfy hat. What do I have in here? Oh, I got something. Big chunky comfy hat by Erica Kempf Broughton. And this is in Queen City Super Bulky. It's about 85 grams, so a little less than the full skein, 65 yards. Again, super simple. Super easy. This one is actually going to, it's like a beanie style. It did have this kind of color pooling, which I think is cool. This will actually be a charity hat. So I'll probably give this, yeah, this one's going to be a charity hat, but loving it. Super easy to knit. Super pretty colors. And yeah. So that is the Graham hat, or no, the big chunky comfy hat. And then I did a Twisted Affair by Joji Locatelli, and I did this, actually 2 of these hats. And this is in Eastland Alpaca Bulky, and I had 2 skeins of it. Again, Spirit yarn I picked up at a previous retreat, wanted to use it for charity yarn, and I think I picked it up in 2023 actually. And the only thing I did is I did the ribbing on a smaller needle because obviously it's going to be this rib hat. But you can see these cool cables, you know, or the hat, it kind of, you know, decreases in. These are actually a little small for me. You can see I have a big head. My head is like a 22 or 23 inch circumference. So these will also be charity hat, but I know that they'll find a great home and they'll be super warm. So here's one. This one is a little longer than this one. I think I made it so that you could do the brim, and then this is more beanie style. Actually, I think this one fits me better. Yeah, this one I must have made. One of them I know it because I did the first one. It was a smaller one. And so when I went up to the next one, I actually made the rib a little smaller and then the hat a little wider. So in theory, it would fit, you know, my big head. But yeah. So those are 2 more charity hats. I do not need an alpaca hat, but it feels really nice, but it will make a really warm hat for somebody. And then the last hat I'll show you I did, gosh, what is this hat? Did I gotta even find it. I don't even know if I put it on here. 1 minute. Okay, I had to go. I don't have it on my notes for whatever reason, but luckily I have it in my Ravelry page, so I had to go find it. Anyways, this is the Thistlethorn hat by Lavanya Petricelli. Yeah, I'm butchering her last name. She does a lot of beautiful sweaters. And this thistle stitch, she's actually done a hat, a sweater, a cowl. Look at this. Now, I use scraps, obviously. This is, specifically, this is Fibronynth Dyeworks Traveler. That's the stripe. So it's a self-striping yarn. And then this gray is Queen City Lotta Classic in tar. And then this that because I didn't have enough, this that I did for the ribbing is Skein City Silk Sport. So these are all sport weights. And this one, I have a shawl out of it. I've had it in my stash in 2013. Anyways, so another kind of cool hat. I like the stitch. I will say I did a little yarn management because there was kind of a dark gray stripe in the self-striping, and when it just looked muddied with the gray. So when I came to those stripes, I actually cut them out, and I had just enough. Actually, I was a little short. You can see at the very top, I had to use some of that Silk Sport again. But yeah, so this was another charity hat I did. And this, again, the thistle hat. And you can kind of see, it's really cool stitch. I think I have it actually in my queue for a cowl. It worked really well with like a hand spun yarn and a solid, and it makes a really cool hat. So another hat, and that goes to the charity bin. And then there's one more hat that I did. It was just another little baby bankhead hat with the leftover silk I had that I actually already gifted. It was, I did a little baby hat for my partner's niece, was having her first baby. And so I added it into another present I had. And I don't even think I took a picture of it, but it's okay. It was a little baby bankhead. So those are all the hats I did. And so I will have to add that to my notes. More socks. Let's go with more socks. The next socks I did are, I'm calling my striped socks, number 4. And these, I just did a round and round with the kind of cool, not cool, but it was newish to me this year, way to avoid joins, which is basically stop 3 stitches before the next color and then slide those and then start with the next color. And for whatever reason, and I haven't been able to wrap my brain around, it makes no join. So here's my sock. So this is 2 yarns. So you can see the toe is kind of this gray. And this is Suburban Stitcher in Granny Square. And I striped it with some extra Dream in Color Smushy that I had used in a shawl recently. And that's this yarn here. You can kind of see this is the Dream in Color Smushy. So the toe is in that gray, the heel is in that smushy, and then the rest of the foot is this alternating stripe. And I think it looks beautiful. Just love the way it kind of all melded together into this great, great sock. And you can kind of see it's got interesting pooling, kind of striped. So great little, and I did the same thing, toe up, my kind of double wedge heel I've been using, and it turned out amazing. I'm loving them. And again, used all my socks, used all my scraps up, so more stuff out of my stash. I get such satisfaction from being able to turn a yarn in Ravelry to all used up. It is crazy. So I really, to come up with these socks, I basically went into my stash and did a sort by least amount of yardage and pulled those, all the fingering ones, and then just figured out what I could use them all together. The last one was another awesome sock that these are my latest ones that I just finished not that long ago. And this is a self-striping from Cannon Hand Dyes that I had half a ball left. It's Let the Wild Rumpus Start, or I didn't even have half a ball. I had like 25 grams. And then 3 Irish Girls Modern Looks, Adorn Looks that I had picked up or got at I think I got it as a goodie bag for a ZK, and then some minis. And this is what it turned out looking like. So you can see the green, yellow, green, kind of gray, that is the striping. And then for most of the sock, I use this kind of solid teal, except when I came to a portion where that wouldn't have contrasted enough, and that's when I used a gray. So this blue is actually in the self-striping, but the blue and the teal wouldn't have contrasted enough, so I switched to a light color yarn whenever I came to those. And then you can see this is the Adorn Luxe that I had. This is that kind of gray green, and that's what I used for the toe and the top, and then just the minis for the rest of it. So isn't that great? I'm so pleased with how all my little unintended sock journey has been this year. So I'm up to 6 pairs of stripy socks using all scraps. And then I have probably yarn, I think, set aside for 2 more at least, maybe 3. So that's great. Other FOs, we will go with the Lentilla. This is the Lentilla by Martina Behm. I think I've actually made it before. It's part of our Hitchhiker series that if you've a newer knitter, you should check it out because it is great mindless knitting that comes up with a great scarf. And so this is the Lentilla, and lots of garter, and then you have some short rows to make this kind of wavy border. And I have cat hair. I have cat hair and everything. The yarn is, what is the yarn? Miss Babs Kira Unbelievable. And this wasn't a skein of 500 and something yards. It's like a sport weight that I had gotten, I think, is another door prize at ZK for 1 year. And it is just an easy kind of shawl to wear. So this was the color. I actually tried to make a different pattern with it initially. This was going to be, I brought it specifically to be a pattern to work on at one of my my Virginia Beach knitting retreat, and I'd started Inner Peace by Joji Locatelli on the plane, and I'd gotten a portion of it done. And that pattern, although the yardage looked right and I really liked how it looked, I knew I wasn't going to have enough. I actually love the pattern so much that I'm going to try to find a yarn for it, specifically buy for it. But I had gotten, because I had brought my little handy dandy scale and I measured it when I got to the retreat, and I was like, okay, this isn't going to be enough. So I ripped it out, and then at the retreat found a new pattern, and I settled on Lentilla, which I'd knit before, probably 10 years ago, but super easy, super cool. I haven't decided I'm going to keep this. These are my colors. These actually look really good on me. But yeah, I don't have a lot of care to wear, so we'll see. This is still up in the air whether it's going to stay with me or if it's going to go for charity knitting or a gift. We'll see. But it's so pretty. So pretty. All right. That's Lentilla by Martina Behm. Totally recommend for a longer skein, easy knitting, easy retreat knitting. Once you have it memorized, these little wedges, and you put it like a little stitch marker so you don't even have to count that much. Super easy to do. Now, the big pattern that I finished finally, which was a whole thing. And this is my Grayer Cardigan by Hannah Masiajewski. And I knit on this for over 3 months. It is in American U fingering, tweed, and earth tones that I picked up at Rhinebeck last year. And I ended up doing this. My sweater is 1,380 yards, 3.2 skeins, 350 grams. And I do have a video that will kind of show it to you, but I kind of want to come a little closer so you can see. So the front is all of these cables. This cool cable pattern, and I love the edge. So it is an open front cardigan, no buttons, and this cable forms the button band kind of area. It goes all the way around that cable, and you can see, look at how awesome it is. Even in the tweed, I love it. I was looking for a neutral throw on kind of lightweight cardigan that I could wear over knits that would be more generic, and I love it. Now, the rest of it and the back is all reverse stockinette. The arm is reverse stockinette. I did make, my major modification was the arms. So she basically had you pick up and then no decreases. So it would have been a very flowy arm. And I didn't want that. I wanted a more fitted arm. So I actually, that was my big thing, is I did decreases every 10 rows. And then it is just a twisted rib at the cuff. I did have trauma with this. So knitting along, and I finished one sleeve, and then I was working on the other one, and I was about this much short. And I was like, okay, I got to go find my fourth skein. I didn't have a fourth skein. In my mind, I had a fourth skein, but I only bought 3. And rather than go find someone because it's a newer yarn or whatever, I went online and bought another skein. I was like, okay, I love this kind of neutral tweed. I will be able to use it again in socks or whatever. And then that was in early March. And so literally this much of a sleeve left, and waited. It took a few days for them to ship it, which, you know, smaller places, who knows what was going on. Then they ship it. Then another week goes by, and then a few more days, and I still haven't gotten it. And the notice they sent me didn't really have, it had a shipping tag, but when I checked it, it wasn't going to me, like, and it had already been delivered. So like, it was the wrong information. So I emailed them and said, hey, I haven't gotten this yet. You know, FYI, can you send me the shipping information? A few more days go by. So now we're like 3 weeks into when I ordered this. Still just need this much. And they finally got back to me and said, oh, it was actually returned to us. Some kind of problem with the mail, with the label, and we'll send it out to you priority. And they did. So when I finally got it, I was able to finish my sleeve. Then I actually had to redo my sleeve, the bottom of my sleeve. So the original sleeve I had, because for me, it's kind of, I like it kind of like there. And originally the sleeve I did was too short, and then I ripped back and redid it, and then it ended up being too long. And so the bottom edge of my sleeves, I knit like 3 times. But it didn't take that long. You know, it's like ripping back and then doing and finding like the perfect length for me, of which I have. Now, I've actually already worn this because I wore it to my retreat. So it is looking a little worn because it's been in a suitcase, it's things, and I didn't reblock it. So please apologize in my video that it looks a little rumpled. It is a little rumpled because I've been wearing it. But I love it. I love it so much. So I highly recommend the Greer cardigan. It was the cable, because it is a little intricate. You know, I had to pay a little attention to where I was. I did get a little memorized once I figured out kind of the pattern. I typically do that. I want to show you, look at the bottom. The cables go into it. So nice. So nice. Love the details. Love the pattern writing. Super easy. And I'm super pleased with it. For whatever reason, though, this is kind of snapping open. I might need to reblock it. This one lies super flat, but this one like is popping open a little. So it might need another blocking, but whatever. We'll see. Because as you see, this one doesn't pop at all. And then this one pops. So blocking will probably take care of that again. But yeah, this is my Greer cardigan. It took 3 months. This was the only garment I was working on because I only like to work on one garment at a time, and it was fingering, and it took a while, and it was cable. But super pleased with the yarn. It's super soft. The tweed, and I've never knit with tweed, and it's one of the things I had to tell myself is do not pick out the nubs. Let them be. Let them be. And super happy. And I actually even like it like on the inside. Like if I did it reverse, I could wear it. That's all my FOs. So that's enough, don't you think? That's a good 2 months worth. 2 months worth of knitting. Let me show you my whips. Where was my first whip? So, oh, and this one was one of my Make 9s. So one of the patterns I selected at the beginning of the year that I wanted to do. And the next one is also a Make 9. Let me pull it, the right one. I have it in a Fat Squirrel SSK bag from 2014. I think that was the last time I went to SSK. And SSK is Super Summer Knit Together in Nashville, put on by the Knit Girls. And so, yeah. This is a Free Your Fade by Andrea Mowry, a pattern a ton of people have done. And I think one of the Free Your Fades were what kind of, in my mind, catapulted her you know, such notoriety as a designer. But I'm doing mine a little differently. So I have 3 skeins. These are all been in my yarn, or two of them have been in my stash a while. This is Stranded Dye Works and Hazardous that I got in Knockers in 2018, and then this one is Ren and Ollie Sweet Olive that I got at Stitches West in 2018. So I had these 2, and then I paired it with an Etsy dyer that I bought 2022. It's called Ghost with the Most, and so I'm pairing these 3 together. But I didn't want a big solid, so the Free or Fade goes from one corner. You know, you go one color, then you fade to another color, and then another color. But a lot of people have done it with minis. A lot of people have done it with different things. Pattern is very easy. And I actually decided to kind of do a continuous kind of fade with my 3 colors. So here's where you start. And so this is the Hazardous. And then and these are all 20 row or 22 row repeats. So you do 10 rows of the garter, and then you have, let me see if I can pick it. And then you have an eyelet. And so solid, fade, and then solid of the white, fade to this one, solid of this one, fade into the next one. And so this is what it's looking like so far. So as you go through, you get longer sections of each color. And so by the end, you have, you know, you have your depth. And I really am liking it. This is intended to be a kind of a stash busting to get these out of my stash. I will say that because I'm doing it this way, I will not have used up probably all of any of them. But super mindless, super nice, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm about I'm halfway through the repeats, but as you notice, the repeats get longer and longer and longer, so they take longer. So even though technically I think I'm at 10 repeats and I think the whole thing is 19, you know, I'm probably only about a third of the way through. And yeah, very easy TV knitting. One of the things, it's a very easy stitch pattern, and basically what you're doing here is you're decreasing at the beginning of the row, you're decreasing, or you know, knit together 2, and then at the end you're increasing 2. So here you're removing 1 and here you're increasing 1, so each row increases by 1 net. And it's 10 rows of the garter stitch. And someone very smart on Etsy, or not, on Ravelry, put in their notes a little tip, a little trick of, hey, when you start the new section, just take a stitch marker and go, you know, the 10 decreases you're going to do over the garter stitch, so you don't have to keep thinking or count. It was such a great tip. So I don't even have to think about it. When I get to where I can't make any more decreases, then I know it's time to do my eyelet row. And Andrew Mowry obviously does great patterns. I've knit quite a few, and I like making a shawl. I don't know if it's going to be for me or if it will be a gift or charity, but I enjoy the knitting very much. My sock right now, my scrappy sock, in my very cute, I'm showing my bags today, in my very cute, this is from Nomadic Yarns on Etsy. She is a yarn dyer, but occasionally she puts up these little sock cubes, and these are my favorite sock bag. I know I've said this before. My favorite size. It fits a ball, a sock, and it fits in my purse. I love it. I am using Queensland Collection Perth and Alice Springs for this one with a mini. So here's my 2 yarns. I'm over halfway. Let me show you my first sock that I finished. And I know I knit this yarn the first time I knit it a sock for my brother. So I had half the ball left, and this one I'm doing kind of shorties. You can kind of see I've done my ends. But basically, mini, and then just the yarn. So this one is just a scrappy sock that I'm calling, but I'm not actually striping or doing anything with it. The yarn is doing that on its own. It's really kind of cool. I just went in and found a mini that I thought would match, and just doing my favorite way of doing socks right now. I do all mine toe up, and yeah. So these are going to be for me, and I am this much on the other sock. Great purse knitting, especially right now where it's a lot of just knitting in the round, not even any yarn management for stripes or anything like that. So I'll probably finish these in the next week or so, and then have another sock. and more yarn out of my stash. Dun, dun, dun. I love using all my yarn up, as I said. I know not everyone does, but I do. Another Make 9, using my scraps, is a hat that is the Deep Woods Toque by Kiyomi Bergen. And I don't have a picture of this hat, but it is fingering rib, and then so this is going to be a fold up, so I have to do 5.5 inches. I think I have another inch of this, and I specifically cast this on because it was very easy retreat knitting. It's just, you know, rib, and then there's a color work tree, and so it's a green background, and then I'm going to do these kind of little, they almost look like very simplistic fir trees or Bob Ross trees, and I'm going to do it in this yarn, which is the Zombie Yarns and Lily of the Tiger that I did. I have a Andrea Mowry brioche sweater out of it, or half fisherman or whatever, half brioche, that I love. And yeah, so I'm going to be using the rest of that, and then those will be the trees, and super happy to get some. And this yarn is the Oh Wool Fingering and Fowler S Toad that I did a colorwork sweater out of, that I actually gave to my mom because it didn't fit me anymore, but I have some more of this, and it's a beautiful yarn. I don't know if Oh Well still makes wool or still is in business, but anyways, so that, and then I have one more. I finished my sweater, and so since I always like to have a garment on the needles, I went with a tee. And so I have a queue of yarns that I have enough garments for, and that's what I try to do when I do garments. And so I have started the Tolsta Tee by Rebecca Clow. Here, that's the back, I think. There you go. And this is Queen City Yarn, her Coleman, which is her linen wool, I think. And then this is the clay, and this is the sand color. I had leftover sand from another Andrea Mowry sweater I had done, and but I didn't have enough to do anything, so I picked up 2 skeins to be able to specifically to make a striped tee, and I'm really happy with it. I will say the gauge on her pattern for a DK, of which this is like 17 stitches, and I didn't get anywhere near that. Or when I use that, obviously I can get that gauge. It was too open for me. Did not like the gauge. And so I went down a few needle sizes, and my gauge is now 20 to 21 stitches. And so I have just gone up in the size that I'm doing, and I tried it on, and as a sleeve, you can see I've already split the sleeves, and I've done the body, and it's super easy, super liking it. And I think it will be a very cool tee for me. And it's going so fast. I have it in my Fat Squirrel bag. I love this bag. Don't you like the serendipity of matching your bag to your current whip? I do that a fair amount of times. So yeah, those are all of my whips I have going on. And I'm super pleased with all of them right now. And I've gotten a fair amount of knitting. As I said, I've been knitting on various places, various things, and various there. So, where have I been? February, I went to my friend Martha Knitcrit's retreat in Virginia Beach. I try to go like every other year or so, and I picked up, sorry, got an itchy nose, and I'm gonna have a little tea. I got some yarn acquisitions there. That I couldn't wait to show you. Now, I tried not to buy yarn, but some people were destashing, and she was destashing at such a good price, and I just loved it. So this is Emma's yarn, crazy beautiful color. It is Hella Hank. So this is 600 yards, 150 grams, 600 yards of a merino cashmere nylon, and look at that. It's this like really great neutral with just a little orange. 1,200 yards. She was selling it for half price, what it says on the ball band, and so I picked it up. I plan on finding a lace weight, fuzzy, probably Surrey. I want to find kind of an orange, and I think I'm going to try to do a lento with this. So super excited with that. So yeah, I just got to find a very, I don't know, either not a bright orange, but more like a more burnt orange kind of thing. So, or even something lighter, pumpkin maybe. I don't know. I got to find it. So this is on my quest to find the right yarn to go with that. And then the other thing that I won, because they did a cool thing where it was like, where was it from? Let's Make a Deal, like what's in your purse. And so one of the things was a passport. And so I actually travel with my passport card pretty regularly. So I had that. And I won this great little set of Latte Petites. She had actually, this is the retreat one that was a giveaway. And as part of that, I think she was dyeing different color blues to kind of see which one Martha liked. And then she just bundled all of those kind of reject colors, which are beautiful, not reject, into this great bundle and gave it away as a prize. So I have all of these beautiful minis that I definitely will have to turn into something color work. Latte is from my friend Janice, Queen City Yarns. It is 100% non-superwash merino rambouillet. These are all 25 grams, each about 78 yards. And I have what, seven? So definitely will do something in the future. I don't have anything planned out for this. It's probably going to marinate for a few years before I figure out what I'm going to do with it. But, and beachy colors, it's so great to win stuff because you get colors that you wouldn't normally pick. I would never pick this, but I think they're beautiful. And it's going to be this great little, it's going to be a great sweater when I figure out what I'm going to do with it. So those were my acquisitions at that retreat. And as I said, it snowed, and being at the beach in the winter was kind of cool. And I don't see snow very often anymore ever since I moved away. And then I saw so many, here I'm reaching off, sorry, I got some stuff. So many great friends that I see there. Sometimes I only see them there. My friend Pam Bailey made these beautiful bookmarks. And she's so talented. She always gets great little things. So I'm going to use that. And got a little sachet and a cool bracelet with my name on it because I have amazing friends. So, and I have to go put them because I literally have been having them waiting to be podcast so I can put them away. Oh, it smells so good too. The other thing that we did that was great there is we did yarn measurements. So we had, Charlene from the Yarniacs audio podcast come out as the guest. We talked a lot about sweater and sweater construction and sweater things. And one of the things we did is we took measurements, had somebody else take your measurements of various things. And this is all very good. Highly recommend taking your measurements. As you guys all know, I've lost significant weight in the last 2 years. And so it is very important for me to constantly take my measurements. I take my measurements every 3 months or so. But I'm definitely having to make things smaller. And I also am preferring a more fitted kind of thing right now. And so having your measurements is important. It's important no matter what size you are. Always do your measurements. Make a garment that fits you then. And I've always done that. And I did have to give away a few sweaters. So when I went to the Northern California Knitting Retreat in the D-Stash room, I had 3 t-shirts, one of which I'd knit, 2 which had actually been gifted for me, which were too big. So those went to new homes. And then another sweater went to a new home. So I love making things for what I am. And then I also, don't have to hold on to them because I can find knitters who will give them new homes, which is amazing. The other thing that she gave is a great little notebook. And I love a notebook. So that will be there, and all is good. So it was a great retreat. I mean, I love retreats. I manage 4 or 5 a year and use it to go see my friends all over the US. And it's so funny whenever I explain where I'm going on these retreats or why I'm going. What are you doing? You're going to sit around and knit? I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And it's amazing. Then I went to WonderCon. It's a comic book convention in Anaheim that I do with my boyfriend every year. This was probably our 10th year going. Definitely smaller than previous years. It's economy is hitting it. Not as many vendors. We still have fun. It's a weekend away for us. We actually, this one, we went to Disneyland into Trader Sam's, which I'd never been. It's a tiki bar in the Disneyland Hotel. And so we went there one of the nights and had some tiki drinks, and that was fun. And then one of the other nights we went to a local brewery that has a lot of pinballs, and he's a pinball junkie. So he played pinballs while I knit, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Just a great weekend away. And the last one I did was the most recent one, was the Northern California Knitting Retreat. Probably one of my favorite retreats because it's in a beautiful location in San Juan Bautista. It has a retreat center kind of up in the farmland, and it's so green, and they have a pond, and you go walking, and that has, you know, the retreats I like, and this is just me, are the ones that don't have a lot of classes and things, where you're just, a lot of the time is unstructured. And this one is totally unstructured. And you're out there, you get there, 3 square meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, good food, good people, sat outside, beautiful weather, it did get windy. I also never knew that bees could poop. So one of the new things, because I've been going to this for, I think, 10 years, is the next farm over has a bunch of beehives in there. Fairly close. You could see them across, you know, the way. And you could definitely hear them when I went for a walk. And in the afternoon, they kind of, I don't know, on their migration back to their hives for the night, lots of bees came through. And not that they bothered us. I'm not afraid of bees. But they poop, and it's bright yellow. And so in the afternoon, some people who were knitting under the trees had to come in because they were getting it on them. It was on the chairs in the morning, and it was all over my car. I had to get a car wash yesterday. And so, yeah. So that retreat is awesome, and that is put on by a committee of people, which 2 Knit Lit Chicks, Tracy and Barb, are one of them, Charlene from the Yarniacs, and then a lot of other great people that do it, that I just love going up there. I drove this year. It's about a 5-hour drive. Would be a 5-hour drive. On the way up, I actually cut across. So if you've ever been to California, the 5 goes up through the middle of the state, through nothing. It's like, that's where all your almond trees are grown. There's cows, there's things like, so I had gone part of that way, and then I was cutting over to Paso Robles, which is to go to the 101 to go the rest of the way. And again, you're going through fields and farms, and yes, it is a major road that a lot of people kind of cut to from the 5 freeway to the 101, and it's about, I don't know, 40 or 50 miles long. Came to a full stop. Everybody came to a full stop, and I was like, oh my goodness. Literally, the Caltrans was doing work on this thing on a Thursday afternoon and had 1 lane open, and so having to, like, it was slow. Let's just say I was stuck in it for an hour. And the worst part is my knitting wasn't with me, because I put all my knitting in the way back. And so, yeah, it was fine. It was a beautiful day. Open the windows, see green skies, and it is what it is. I didn't need to be anywhere by a certain time, but still, middle of nowhere, full stop. So anyways, that drive for me was good. I was able to bring like an extra blanket and a pillow and stuff. And I did get some things as well. They do great various bags. I have some, I love their bags. Mary puts them together. She uses great stuff every year. And so I have some great tote bags from previous years and things like that. And this year it is a plastic clear kind of backpack. And this is amazing. So if you haven't had to go to any kind of sports event or concert lately, like everybody, you can't bring your normal person anymore. You have to be in a clear bag. And so this, I have one, but I like this one as a backpack better than the one I typically bring to my soccer games. So that was the bag. And as you notice, I have some yarn in there, and I'll show that in a minute. My acquisitions. I was pretty good. I brought some yarn. I got rid of a little yarn, and then tried not to pick up too much. And I think I came back with the same amount of yarn I dropped off. But we have a great cup every year. So this is the cup. It's obviously kind of a wine glass. And Northern California Knitting Retreat. Kind of, there you go. You can see the little bird. Super cool. And then Diane, who's one of the people who goes there, she is super creative and has like a 3D printing and does all these things. And for the last, I think, 2 years, she's been making stuff. So one of the things she made, which I love, is she did, look, a 3D printed yarn ball for a keychain, and I'm totally putting my spare key for the house on this. Though it is a little big for when I go walking. But guess what? It opens. And she put little stitch markers. Oh, so cool. So cool. And there were a bunch of different colors, and so you got to kind of pick your one, whatever one you wanted, and I just love this idea. Diana's super talented. So that was one of the cool things we got. Got a pen, got a sticker, ooh, and got a cool little Notion bag that I'm going to use, which I love. I love a plastic Notion bag. So, or actually this probably I'll use for travel and toiletry because it is plastic. So it would be good for your stuff that might leak. So yeah, so that's, oh, and then we also have, if you want, we have somebody who comes and does massages, and she brought a bag of tennis balls so that we could each have a tennis ball, and I actually took 2 so that we could give like ourselves massages and release some of that tension in various places when you need to do it yourself. And I really love that idea. I've never done that, but I need to. So, yarn acquisitions. There's an amazing de-stash room. A lot of people bring, you know, in addition to like your scraps and things like that, people bring sweater quantities, things like that. I think I brought 4 full skeins of fingering that I didn't want, one from a tee I'd already made, and then 2 other ones that I did. And so I picked up a few minis just because I like some minis. So there were just 3 little minis that will go into my mini bin. And then I picked up Lyrical Fiber. Somebody had dropped this. It's silver blue. It's rocking sock. So I picked up this. The Retreat yarn I ordered this year. It's Sue from Invictus. Sue wasn't there this year, but I've used her yarn and it's beautiful. I like the color. I don't always get the Retreat yarn, whatever the one is. They always pair with a dyer and have a colorway made. And this is called Francis for Knockers. It's the St. Francis Retreat Center. But I loved the grays and kind of the blue, moody kind of pinks and stuff like that. So I did get that. I made knitted knockers. That's the charity that they do. I made, I think 15 this year. And so I got picked as one of the prize winners. And so I picked up this yarn. It is Steady Rain, Scrumptious Fingering Weight from Marinated Yarns. And again, this will be a really great contrast yarn for various sock. Although I'm trying to use all my scraps, I still have a fair amount, and I like sock yarn. And then the last thing I got from the de-stash room, I kind of fell in love with these. And this is Turtle Pearl Yarn Striped Turtle Toes. And this is Party Wear 5, and I just like this self-striping, and I like it as 250-gram balls as well. So last was for fingering that I got in my stash and came back with the equivalent amount of yarn. So not too upset about that at all. Yeah, so those were my retreats. Work is picking up, getting busy again. Still haven't been able to start my new facility that I built, but I'm getting closer. We have a draft permit, so that will be good. So maybe in the next 2 months, I'll be able to get one of the 2 started, and then started a new project where I'm going to be working on another treatment operations, increasing the size of the facility for chlorination. So in North Hollywood, if you're familiar with LA, I'm staying in that area. And so started that. And so that's all been busy. What was I going to say? Other than that, you know, lots of knitting, lots of TV. White Lotus, I watched White Lotus like everybody else. Season 3 definitely was an interesting season. Was not as enjoyable as 1 and 2. The locale was beautiful. Thailand was beautiful. But I definitely missed Jennifer Coolidge and her character. She was in the Hawaii and the Italy one. But, you know, it was shocking. It was interesting. The other show I'm going to tell you about that I just finished, and I blitzed it, and I am a Kevin Bacon fan. Probably my favorite movie that he's in is Tremors. I love Tremors. But he did a show that just recently dropped on Prime called Bondsman, where he basically is killed and then is brought back to be and he's a bond enforcement agent. He's brought back to be that for the devil. And so he catches demons that escape from hell. And The other, his ex-wife is played by Jennifer Nettles of Sugarland fame, and it's set in Georgia, I think, and they're singing. And I love also that it's a half hour. It's a half-hour episode. There were 8 half-hour episodes. I went through so quick, and it was really enjoyable. So if you're into that kind of, you know, fantasy, science fiction, you know, kind of paranormal kind of thing, and are a Kevin Bacon fan, or Jennifer Nettles fan, because she sings as well, as does Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon sings too. It was a quick watch and really enjoyable. Books. I've read so many books. So since my last podcast, so in the last 2 months, I've read 27 books. I'm up to 45 for the year. And I have to say shout out to 2 of the people I get book recommendations from that I take back that I get book recommendations from were people at the retreat. So that's always good. And I have so many, but what I decided to do today is kind of just pick a few that I think for recommendations, because I recognize I get book recommendations from other people. And then my friend Shar came up and says she started reading one of the mystery series I read because of my recommendations. So it's just the way to pass on the love. And so the ones today that I'm going to focus on, and I wanted to bring it up so that I get the author right. The first one is kind of one second. Okay, I want to pull up the books in my history, and I'm going to show them here, a little picture of them. The first one is kind of a horror book, and it is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, and it is called What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, and this was so good. I love a good kind of horror kind of book, and this was a very subtle horror, very, very Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, that's what it was written, but it was a great reimagining of someone who goes back to see their friends, and they live in this old house, and there's something not quite right about them, and it's just very gothic and very dark and very well done. And it's the first in a series, so love me a series, and I love the characters. So if you kind of like dark gothic kind of supernaturally books, it's very well written, and it's the first in a series. So that is T. Kingfisher, What Moves the Dead. It's so good. It's so good. I'm going to go read more by this author. Another book I want to recommend is one that, again, because, you know, passing on the love, was recommended to me by my friend Holly, and it is called LA Weather by Maria Amparo Escandon. Now, part of why I love this is it was set in LA, and I've lived in LA for 30 years now, came here for college at 17 and have never left. And I love LA. I do. I love living here. I love the craziness of the city. And so there was a lot of LA, talking about LA, the city of LA, kind of if you live, and there's a lot of cities I think that have a pulse, that have a spirit, that are a character in and of themselves. New York is like that. Different boroughs of New York are like that. You know, New Orleans, LA, parts of LA. And so I almost felt like LA was another character in this book, and that was great. But it's basically that takes place with the Alvarado family, and they are a family who lives of means, but it's 3 daughters and their parents, and it's kind of the interactions and the things and the family of it, and then going through like normal kind of life things and how they kind of break as a family and come together as a family, tragedies that befall them. And it's really set over a year, and it was just beautiful. It's a really well written book, and I liked the characters that were in there. The daughters are all adults, you know, some have kids, some don't. They're where they are in their lives. The parents are going through some tough times, and the fact that they're thinking of, you know, separating, and because of a secret that, you know, no one can tell, and things like that. And it was just a great book. The family is also Latino, so reading about the food they're eating and their kind of cultures, it, you know, comes a little close to home because my boyfriend is Latin. So that's LA Weather by Maria Amparo Escandon. she also has some other books that I'm going to try to that I've added to my queue, so we'll see if those go good. So that's another one I recommend. And what was the other one I was going to recommend? Oh, so I'm going to recommend one of my trashy series that I read. And I read, in addition to reading, you know, really good books, I do not read nonfiction. I read escapist for the most part. I like a good fiction book. I like a good story. I like being thrown into a good world. I read a lot of fantasy, a lot of supernatural, a lot of things like that. And a lot of romantasy is kind of the new kind of term for a lot of this. And one of the books that I've actually been listening on audiobook for quite a few years now, she has a bunch of different series. I think she actually started off like self-publishing and going from there. Her name is Dakota Cassidy, and she does paranormal, trashy romance books. And one of the series that she does is called the Accidental series. And this book that I'm showing is the 24th in the series. And there's actually 2 series. So I think there's 30 or something books. And each one is very formulaic. You know, someone accidentally got turned into some type of paranormal. This one, it's the accidental ghost. And then there are all of the characters that have been in the previous stories. And there's 3 main ones from the very first 3 books that were these women that were accidentally turned into paranormals and that have a very strong friendship. One is a vampire, one is a werewolf, and one is a half-sea. She's half vampire, half werewolf. That they met and they were selling like Mary Kay Cosmetics or something like that. And then they accidentally got turned into this, and they've succeeded very well. They've all met their partners, and then, but they have this, anytime they come into someone who accidentally has been turned in it, they support them, they help them. And that's what this accidental series is about. So these 3 core women are in every book, and then it focuses on whoever the accidental is, and then whoever is going to be their, you know, love interest that they find. And then, so it's great. So there's the thing I love, which is, you know, the trashy paranormal, you know, romantasy, and then a through line of characters, and that you do get to, various characters from books will sometimes come and play a part in another book. So for example, in this one, the ghost one, you know, they had to call their friend who is an accidental angel in a previous book, and she came and gives some things. And it's light, super light. It is nothing, it is nothing that taxes your brain. And I listen to these on audiobooks. I really enjoy the narrator. They tend to be like 5 or 6 hours, and I eat them up in a sitting when I'm, you know, exercising. It's super, super fun. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, there's a ton of them. I enjoy them. Dakota Cassidy has some other series that I've also read. She does some. This is her one that she does. That's my favorite, that I always look forward to her next one. And she puts them out sometimes 2 of these a year. Like, as I said, they're not that taxing, but they're very fun. So those are the 3 books of the many I've read that I'm going to recommend. As I said, I've been keeping up with my murder mysteries, or my mystery books. So Martin Walker, Bruno, Chief of Police, which was my friend Char that I got her into reading. The Margaret Maron, the Deborah Knott mysteries that my friend Holly recommended. You know, Kelly Armstrong, Disturbing the Dead, book 3. Love this series. This is the police detective that accidentally gets put back in a time into Scotland in the 1800s. And so the 3rd book is great. And I love listening to those on audiobooks. I read the Louise Penny, Inspector Gamache novel. Again, book 19. Great characters. I love going back, and she's a great writer. That was recommended by another podcaster way back when. See? Yeah. And then I've been reading my supernatural romance. I just read the Dakota Cassidy. I read for the first time Abby Jimenez book, Part of Your World. And so this is more of a contemporary romance, and with just a little, tiny little bit of kind of, not even magic, let's call it, but it's not really. But it was just a really great, well-told, you know, contemporary romance that I really enjoyed. Rick Riordan, Wrath of the Triple Goddesses. This is Percy Jackson. I love this for young adults. This is, Percy Jackson was from the original series, and now he's trying to get recommendations from the various gods so that he can go to college. And so this was the latest one with Hecate, where he is watching her animals while she is out doing things, and I just love it. Just love it. Yeah. So those are my books. Continuing reading, and as I said, I mix between audiobooks. Primarily audiobooks are when I exercise, and then sometimes if I can't stop putting it down, and then I read typically on my lunch break at work, I'll read, and then sometimes here I'll knit and read. And so I do that with the Kindle app, and then, you know, can swipe as I'm knitting, as long as it's kind of mindless. That's what I have going on for that. Coming up, not next weekend, the weekend after, 2 weekends, Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'll be going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, meeting some friends and staying at a house there. I'm totally looking forward to it. I haven't been to Maryland Sheep and Wool. Gosh, it's probably been 7 or 8 years, maybe longer. But yeah, so since I'm not going to Rhinebeck this year, this will be my major kind of sheep and wool festival I'm going. And so looking forward to that. I'll also be going to Santa Cruz in June for UC Santa Cruz graduation. My boyfriend's son is graduating from college, so we'll be going up there. I'm going to try to hit a yarn store or two, as I think I will have a little time. But we'll see. I got to play it by ear. Going with family. Then I'll be going to Rochester for the Zombie Apocalypse knitting retreat. July, I got to do a family thing. I don't know. There's some talk about me maybe going to Florida or maybe going to Boston. So I haven't, one of those will happen. And then my niece is coming to visit in August with her best friend. That will be fun. 2 15-year-olds. And then I have my annual college friends retreat in Santa Barbara in October. And then I'm going to Hovey's retreat in October in Argentina. I was going to go with my mom, but she has bowed out, which is fine. So I'll either be going to that retreat with my boyfriend or my brother. I have to figure out which one of them is going to come. But I'm looking forward to going down to Argentina. So we're going to do Hovey's retreat, and then I'm going to do some other stuff in Argentina. I haven't figured out exactly what that's going to be yet, but we shall see. And then the other big trip I have on for next year in March is Vienna, and that will be so much fun. So it's been a long one. It's been an hour. Thank you guys all for sitting with me and for visiting and seeing all of my whips and hearing me talk. And yeah, I just enjoy. I'm so happy I got to see so many of you at the various retreats. As I kind of tell people, I really do this not for the people I've met, because there's a lot of people I've met, a lot of great people, a lot of great conversations, and a lot of people I only see like once a year. And so this is a kind of a way to kind of keep in touch and kind of see what's going on. And I'm just telling all my friends what's going on with my life, kind of. Other news, my cat, Apple, who is sitting down there trying to sit in the sun going, what's going on? We had some fun with her, and so now I took her to the vet for some reason. She was driving me up the wall because she was peeing outside the litter box, and I thought it was behavioral, and I still think it's mostly behavioral. She is very, very, very attached to me. Yeah, I am her person 100%. She loves me. She gives me love eyes all the time. She wants to be on me at all times. So when I go away, I think she gets mad. She likes my boyfriend, but that's not her person. Anyway, so we went to the vet just to I wanted to make sure that there was nothing medically wrong why this was happening. And she has the very, very early stages of kidney disease, which is pretty common. She is an older cat. And so now we have to switch her to kind of either a prescription or low phosphorus diet. And it has been a challenge to try to find a food this cat will eat, because I'm supposed to switch her to all wet food and she prefers dry food, and just have bought all of these random kind of cans of various things, trying to see if I can get her to eat one. Some of them she won't take a bite of. Some of them she'll take maybe a lick of. There's one that she just licks the liquid out, but won't eat any of the actual food. Yeah, so much fun. Pet ownership. I adore her, but pet ownership is the real deal. You take them, good, bad, better for worse, sickness and in health. So that will be fun. I still haven't still haven't gotten it, but she's doing better. She has stopped peeing outside the litter box, which is good. We did change her litter and do some other things with that. So, but it has been fun. And yeah, that's kind of it. I've been living life, going to continue living life. And hopefully I'll see some of you guys. If anyone goes to Maryland or sees around, I'm going to Yarn Centric, which is another another market at Maryland Sheep and Wool Weekend that is on the Friday. So I know that we have tickets to go, I think 2 to 4 or something like that. And my friend from Queen City Yarn is vending there. So, and then there's a bunch of other great vendors. There's just so many vendors at these events that I'm going to try to have a very limited of what I need. I wanted to get some of the lace weight to go for that lento I want to make. And then that Joji shawl I started, the inner piece, I want to find a yarn to go with that because I really like the construction of that. I just need a very specific type of yarn, a very non-wool yarn, basically. Very, I was going to say sexy, but slinky, very lace or very silky is what I need. Very silky. So I might find that. And yeah, looking forward to traveling, looking forward to flying, having lots of time, knitting time, hanging out with friends, all that jazz. I highly recommend you also do that if you enjoy travel. For as much as you guys see me traveling, I'm also a huge homebody. Like most of the time on the weekends I'm at home. I go out for these events and it's tiring. Like being around people is tiring for me. I have this introvert extrovert thing going on. I need very little, not little, but I don't need as much as say an extrovert in terms of social to fill me up. And these retreats fill up a lot. So I come back and I just want to rest. So hopefully that's what I'm going to do today is rest. Get this edited, get this out, get all my stuff put away, which is one reason I had a podcast so that I can put it all away. And then get some knitting done on some of those projects because they're making me happy. So anyways, happy April, happy spring, happy everything. I hope this finds everyone well. So that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.